Hello, class 9. Good morning. Today is Thursday, and as per your routine, you have English language online class. So, to go back to our last time's English language online class, we had discussed a very important chapter in English grammar, that was prepositions. You were explained what are prepositions, the different kinds of prepositions, and how do we use suitable prepositions in the sentence. That also we discussed. Further, you were also given some exercises to complete in the taught chapter prepositions. I hope you have completed the task. Keep doing. We'll be getting more of those exercises to do, and try to understand the chapter in a better way, so that we can deal with any kind of exercises that may be asked in the chapter prepositions. So with that, we have finished the chapter prepositions. Now we will move on to the next chapter in our English language to discuss in our grammatical portion. This is our very important chapter. Chapter is tenses, right? So what we will be asked in the paper uh, is will be asked to fill in the blanks with the correct form of the verbs given in brackets, right? So that will be the exercise asked in the paper. So for that we have to understand what are tenses, right? So I'll try to help you out in teaching tenses in the uh, simplest form, so that easily you can grab it and understand, and then be very confident to answer the verb forms exercise in the question paper. So we'll try. So here we go. Let us try to understand. So our topic is verb forms. Verb forms is none other than chapter tenses. So first of all, we'll try to understand what are tenses. This is again not a new chapter for you. You have already discussed this chapter in the previous classes. We are only trying to strengthen the very chapter in detailed form, so that the exercises based on these would be easily solved, right? So let us discuss what are tenses. So tenses are simply the way we talk about time in English. I tell once again, tenses are simply the way we talk about time in English. Hence, tenses means time in simple. So, what does tenses mean? It means time. In simple form, tenses mean time, right? Now, what do you mean by time? Right? By time, we mean the past, the present, and the future, right? So, this is what we mean by time, right? We mean the past, the present, and the future, right? These are all different times, and we have different tenses to express or talk about those times. Okay, right? So that means our actions change in regard to time. When time changes, our actions also change, right? So see, so first of all, let us try to know uh, uh, the three tenses in grammar, right? So there are three main verb tenses in grammar, right? There are three main verb tenses in grammar. They are present, past, and future, right? These three tenses are divided into four forms, or they are also called four aspects, right? They are the simple, the continuous, the perfect, and the perfect continuous, right? These are the four forms of three tenses in English grammar, right? Which are they? They are the simple, the continuous, the perfect, and the perfect continuous. That means altogether there are 4 into 3. That means 12, right? 12 forms. Okay, so that you must keep in mind, right? So what are the three tenses? Let us again try to understand this in a simple way, right? To know the present tense. So what is the present tense? It is used to describe things that are happening right now. That means when the action is going on right now, what the action we are doing it right now, it is called the present tense, right? The past tense, it is used to describe things that have already happened. So the actions that have already taken place, the action which is already over, the action which is already completed, the action which is already finished, it is called the past tense, right? And the future tense, it is used to describe things that are going to take place in the future, right? So what is future tense? It is used to describe things that are going to take place in the future. So it has not started. It will take place in the near future, right? So this is future tense. So these are the three tenses in English grammar, right? The present tense, the past tense, and the future tense, right? And these three tenses are further divided into four forms that we already discussed, right? This is what you must know: the simple tense, the continuous tense, the perfect tense, and the past perfect and the past continuous tense, right? Okay, and the perfect continuous tense, right? So these are the four forms of each kind of tense, right? Now see, now how do we understand these four forms of each kind of tense, right? In many of the textbook they are elaborately explained, right? But I wanted to make it very simple so as to reach to you very easily, and you can also find it very easy when we know this, right? Okay, so the rules of tense with the verb, I have chosen work as a verb because work is a verb, right? This is an action that we are doing it. So we have taken a simple verb work, right? Now how do we place this verb work in three different tenses, right? And in four forms, right? Okay, so let us take one example of the verb work. Simultaneously, we will also know, right, subject verb agreement, right? There's another chapter in English grammar, subject verb agreement, that a subject should agree with the verb, right? Or a verb should agree with the subject. That is another important chapter in English grammar, which many of the people and students do mistakes, right? So this is a correction. How do we use it? So we are killing two birds with one stone, right? We are knowing tenses, we are also knowing subject verb agreement at the same time. So be very attentive to understand this. So we have made a table, right? The first column is tenses, present, past, and future. The second column is simple. The third column is continuous. Fourth column is perfect, and the fifth column is perfect continuous, right? So let us first deal with present tense, right? Now how do we use the very verb work in four forms, right? This is what you must understand. So we have taken the pronoun, right? And how do we work, right, the verb with the pronoun? This is a test and this is an understanding as well. So see, the personal pronouns like I, we, they, we have chosen the verb work. So I work, we work, they work in simple present tense. He, she, it will take the verb works, right? He works, she works, it works. So this is simple present tense with the verb work we have done, right? Now continuous tense, how do you use the verb work in continuous tense? I am working, right? Continuous is verb plus ing, we all know, right? So I am working. We, they are working. We are working, they are working. He, she, it is working. He is working, she is working, it is working, right? So this happens when it is simple when it is present continuous tense. Now what happens with the verb when it is present perfect tense, right? So I, we, they have worked, right? I have worked, we have worked, they have worked, right? And then he, she, it has worked. He has worked, she has worked, it has worked, right? So this happens in present perfect tense. Now in present perfect continuous tense, I, we, they have been working, right? He, she, it has been working, right? So I have been working, we have been working, they have been working, right? Because continuous ing form should be there, right? He has been working, she has been working, it has been working, right? So the very verb work we have used in present tense in 4 different forms, right? At the same time, we have also understood subject verb agreement, right? Now let us move on to the next past tense, right? We have taken the same verb work. Now how are we using in simple past tense the verb work? I, we, they, he, she, it worked, right? So the very verb work becomes worked in simple past tense. I worked, we worked, they worked, he worked, she worked, it worked, right? Now in past continuous tense, I, he, she, it was working, we, they were working. So I was working, he was working, she was working, it was working, we were working, they were working, right? So the very verb work, right, is used, right, in this form in past continuous tense. Now move on to past perfect. I, we, they, he, she, it had worked, right? So I had worked, we had worked, they had worked, he had worked, she had worked, it had worked, right? Now in past perfect continuous tense, I, we, they, he, she, it had been working, right? So I had been working, we had been working, they had been working, he had been working, she had been working, it had been working. So this happens with the verb in the past tense in 4 different forms, right? Now let us move on to the third one, future tense. How are you using the same verb work in 4 different forms in future tense? See, in simple future, I, we, they, he, she, it will or shall work, right? So I shall work, we shall work, they shall work, he will work, she will work, it will work, right? Now same thing here with now future continuous tense. I, we, they, he, she, it will or shall be working. So I shall be working, we shall be working, they shall be working, he will be working, she will be working, it will be working, right? Now move on to future perfect tense. So I, we, they, he, she, it will or shall have worked. So I shall have worked, we shall have worked, they shall have worked, he will have worked, she will have worked, it will have worked, right? And now the final future perfect continuous tense. I, we, they, he, she, it will or shall have been working. So I shall have been working, we shall have been working, they shall have been working, he will have been working, she will have been working, it will have been working, right? So you saw how the verb work is used in future tense in 4 different forms, right? So this is the table of tenses, right, where we have understood 3 different tenses in 4 different forms, right, with the verb work, right? So this happens right, with a verb when we use it in the three different tense in four forms, right? So it is very easy to understand, right, tenses, right, with the help of this table. At the same time, I told, right, this is also teaching you subject verb agreement, right? Subject has to agree with the verb, or a verb has to agree with the subject, right? Like here, take an example. I, we, they work, right? He, she, it works, right? We cannot, okay, write I works, we works, they works. That would be incorrect. Subject verb agreement, right? Or he work, she work, it work. That is incorrect, right? Subject verb agreement. So a verb has to agree with the subject at the same time, right? Okay. So plural pronoun will take, right, plural verb. Singular pronoun will take singular verb, right? So this is what is the table where we have discussed about three tenses in four different forms, right? So I hope it is very clear for you to understand the three different kinds of tenses with the four forms, right? So this is what we are going to do in our exercise. Okay, so let me provide you a homework. If this is understood, I want you to make the same kind of tenses table, right, with the help of three different verbs that I am giving you to work uh, at home, right? So make a table of make a table of tenses with these verbs, and the verbs are talk, number one, number two, sing, number three, write, right? So make the similar kind of table, right? And in place of the verb work, use the other three different verbs. So for talk, make one full table like this. For the other verb sing, make another table like this. And for verb write, make another table like this. That means there are three tables you have to make similar to this, right? So as to understand tenses, right? So I hope this is understood, right? After, okay, you have understood this, right, I will also, right now, provide you an exercise to work in uh, 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 the work in, you can say, English grammar, right? Like how the question will be asked in the paper. In the similar way, you will be answering, right? So with the help of the table, you will be answering those blanks. So this table will be very much beneficial, okay, for you to understand tenses and how do you work, right, uh, with verb forms in the test. So this will help you to understand uh, the chapter tenses, right? So with this I am closing, right, with more of the exercise to be given to you in my next class. Thank you very much.